The popular self-help culture inculcates in us the belief that in order to become successful, we must have discipline. We are told that discipline is the key to achieving academic success, climbing on top of the career ladder, attaining the body of our dreams, learning a new skill. Practically anything. As a result, we believe that we must force ourselves to do whatever needs to be done to make these dreams a reality. Oftentimes, the reason you can't get yourself to do what needs to be done is your perception of the task at hand rather than a lack of discipline. When an undertaking seems insurmountable, you are likely to procrastinate, delaying it further and further until the deadline looms uncomfortably close, or not doing it at all. By breaking your task into small, bite-sized pieces, you can reduce its perceived load, making it seem more manageable and less intimidating. You don't need to become a Stoic to succeed in life. Self-discipline may be helpful at times, but it's not an enduring solution. Being hung up on the mindset that success comes from discipline can prevent us from doing the self-reflection that is necessary to examine the real reasons we struggle to follow through with our self-commitments. When we embark on an ambitious undertaking but struggle to stick it through, we rarely question our approach or underlying motivations behind it. Yet, this is often where the solution is. I felt confident that somatic experiencing work, a therapy aimed at processing trauma, would help my client liberate herself from her creative block. As we worked together, I asked her to meditate and focus on her blocked feeling. Where did it reside? What were its qualities? As she identified the blockage, her shoulders rolled forward, and she bent in on herself as if she were frail and frightened. She began describing how she had been molested by a family member, a memory she hadn't retrieved for many decades. Emotions don't just reside in your brain. You experience them in your body. Even if you don't feel that you've experienced a trauma, emotions can get stuck energetically in your body. A mindfulness meditation practice and mindful movement, such as yoga and tai chi, can help you discover insights that might include past trauma, and you might be able to release the emotional energy related to trauma by using these techniques. Many people, though, find it difficult to access their emotions. Discipline requires self-control, and exercising self-control requires a huge amount of brain power. Studies have shown that doing things requiring self-control literally depletes the brain's resources, glucose and oxygen. As a result, exercising self-control in one task makes it more difficult to exercise it in another, subsequent task, suggesting that self-control is a limited resource that must be replenished. In psychology, this is called ego depletion. sometimes, your lack of discipline is actually a matter of motivation. The reason you struggle to stick to a diet, procrastinate on projects, or can't get yourself to do anything that demands willpower and self-control is simply that you don't have a good enough reason to do it. You may think you do, but the evidence, your behavior, says otherwise. Ask yourself what it is you are trying to accomplish, and why it is important to you. For example, if you struggle to stick to a diet and exercise regimen in an effort to lose weight, you don't need to become a Stoic to succeed in life. Self-discipline may be helpful at times, but it's not an enduring solution. Being hung up on the mindset that success comes from discipline can prevent us from doing the self-reflection that is necessary to examine the real reasons we struggle to follow through with our self-commitments. When we embark on an ambitious undertaking but struggle to stick it through, we rarely question our approach or underlying motivations behind it. In this fraught time, when the U.S. harbors far and away the most armed civilians, where enough of them are willing to fire their guns on people they don't like, it's no joke. And since comedian Mike Birbiglia sagely noted that you can't tell a joke without offending someone, we've come to acknowledge the occupational riskiness of comedy. May the bullet of the crazy armed American never meet up with the comedian. Fortunately, and despite doctrinaire decisions that limit opportunities for comics to perform on college campuses, whatever truth stand-up humor conveys continues to get across. through jokes, where the audience buys a lie and laughs when the lie is exposed, greater truths are revealed. The trickster's role is to bring such humor to the fore, humor that matters, that gets people thinking, that gets them talking about the way the world could be. Humor's power is elusive, slippery, ineffable. But a better society can be built out of the truths that humor reveals. And here, we're talking about the difference between humor that makes you laugh in order to forget your troubles, and humor that makes you laugh as you solve them. Declutter your mind. What a fabulous idea. Begin to rid yourself of any negative thoughts and behaviors you have harbored from the past in order to live a fulfilling life now. Let's use a seed we plant in the earth as an analogy. With enough nurturing and care, that seed will bloom into a beautiful plant or flower. However, at the same time, if you are not taking care of it, weeds will begin to grow and the plant will die off and wither away from a lack of attention. When you plant positive thoughts into your magnificent mind, you will create positive outcomes. You may be going through agonizing circumstances in your life right now. Your romantic relationships or marriage could be tearing at the seams and you may not be able to hang on much longer. Or some other kind of family relationship may be tearing your heart in half. People may be making you choose sides. You are being tossed and turned like a dry leaf in hurricane-type storm. You can either ask why, questions the universe, get angry at the gods, or embrace the situation that you're in. This means to embrace the things you likely hate most: change, conflict and uncertainty. If you don't question the sequence of events or wonder why the gods have cursed you, you're winning. Meditation was for many years perceived by Western cultures as mystic mumbo-jumbo from the Orient. In fact, it's only in the last 10 to 20 years that meditation has become a common practice in the US, Canada. Meditation is a practice where an individual trains the mind or induces a mode of consciousness, either to realize some benefit or for the mind to simply acknowledge its content without becoming identified with that content, or as an end in itself. Our faces marred by dust and sweat and blood, we push ourselves up on our scabby knees, stagger to our feet, and summon the courage to try again. Just when we're ready to give up, one more tremor unearths a second wind and a vein of resilience that we didn't know we had. A sudden jolt sizzles through us, and we're fueled with bold determination. One extra push and we plow through the smackdown moments that had brought us to our knees, moving over the finish line. Increasing traffic to your site is the key to success. Blogging is one way of routing humongous traffic to your site. Unfortuitously, while all brands comprehend the viability of the first part, they fail to grasp the vitality of the second. They give in to the idea that engaging in direct sales is their secret to generating sales. Nurturing your email list, handling inventory, and calling to acquire customers will only take you up to a certain point. Remember, no amount of worry, complaining or beating yourself up is going to change the obstacle before you. So you may as well accept it. What you resist persists. Just like in nature, if you apply friction to anything it creates heat. So if you try to resist and push against your obstacle through worry or wishing it didn't happen, it is only going to make things worse. This isn't to say that you can't take a minute to think to yourself, well, this sucks, and even vent about it.
You can pray, send out positive vibes to the universe, say aloud positive affirmations, or whatever floats your boat. These might be efficacious in soothing your nerves, but the external factors that determine your success can't be discounted. Maybe the person next in line to you got lucky. Perhaps his natural talent surpasses your fruit of labor. Else, it's also possible that your timing wasn't right.
Exercise isn't just about accelerating your physique's development, it's also a way to improve your physiology. Similarly to fine-tuning a car, your body needs the right intervention to operate at its best. If you're exercising in some form every day, even if it's just taking a long walk, then you're also leveraging all the areas of your life closer to their full potential. Each day is precious, finite, and fleeting. Yet, because it is given to us freely, it's easy to forget that. It should be our aim to suck the marrow out of each day, quietly embellishing ourselves in its full possibilities. A day spent in drudgery is a day that hasn't been lived fully, while a day that's been experienced with an underlying sense of play can make the most seemingly ordinary days an adventure. The Stoics practiced a form of voluntary discomfort in their routines. They would take fasts on occasions, wear the scantiest of fare, and sleep on the floor to absolve themselves of everything they feared from being taken away. Ryan Holiday, in his book, The Daily Stoic, mentions, "We must fight our biases and preconceptions, because they are a liability." There's this underlying sentiment, subtly propagated through media, that we first need to achieve something notable, to prove that we're enough and happy. But the biggest breakthrough we could ever make in our lives is to cultivate the habits, which allow us to move deeper into embracing our present. It's only then that we'll be in a better position to experience great breakthroughs. When I retrieved my cell phone and started sleeping beside it again, my anxiety increased noticeably. Increased heart rate, slight trembling in the fingers, feelings of uneasiness. Maybe it's because of the barrage of stimulation when the mind should be getting ready for rest. Maybe it's because it gets rid of the willpower battle to put down the phone, which wears you out. Being aware of your craving and knowing how to manage it is a constructive way to stay on track with your recovery from addiction. During the process of recovery, many people assume that cravings are a sign of relapsing. The truth is, you only relapse when you revert back to using a substance to ostensibly cope with life stress and demands. It is quite natural that you feel the strong desire of getting intoxicated from time to time. Life had gotten stale and I felt like quicksand was pulling me down. I was tired of my job, the people I hung out with, and felt like I was settling for mediocrity. Finally, I'd had enough. I knew there was more out there in the world other than working a 9 to 5, living for weekends, partying, and watching endless amounts of TV. Life gives chances to those who look for them. People say that success happens suddenly. To some extent that is a truth. Success is a matter of moments, but to achieve those moments people with courage and valor strive day and night without giving value to themselves. They give importance to their time and utilize it in altering their condition from nothing to someone who matters. Their stories are motivating and inspirational for all of us who want to someone in this world. My clients get down on themselves when they don't look for new jobs or start the projects. They wonder if they're doomed to procrastinate forever. I can get caught in nasty loops of negative self-talk when I see myself as lazy. And calling myself lazy just makes me lazier. The same pattern happens for my clients. My first step to getting out of the funk of procrastination is to know that the obstacle to getting myself into gear isn't laziness or procrastination. It's anxiety. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. In other words, success is just a fancy word for taking steps daily to realize a worthwhile dream. And in the process of building your Rome, which, we're always reminded of, was not built in a day, you'll also use up a considerable amount of your time each day. On cue with this definition, another of history's great minds, Ralph Waldo Emerson, added, "To fill the hour that is happiness." Designing your life is a nice way of saying don't let life happen to you, make your life happen. A ship that leaves its dock without a planned destination will wander the seas aimlessly, and guess what? It will never get to where it was meant to be. Every day is an accumulation of time, therefore managing your time is managing your day. This will lead to having your life planned out, day by day, until you realize you have achieved most, if not all, of your goals. Overwhelmed, gravid, packed, stuck. All these words describe us when information from thousands of resources flows in and out of our minds, leaving its footprint in our consciousness. Scrolling, share, like, post, Instagram, FB, Snapchat, newsletters, promote, lure are buzzwords in the media, which serve its field devotedly on the way to creating disturbing and devastating noise pollution. We wrote clean to paint a picture of what it's like to struggle with demons that often overwhelm you without warning. We both have experienced the magnitude of childhood trauma. We've been to the underworld and returned to the land of the living. Fiends have many forms. They're shapeshifters. They can self-replicate and reproduce. Those that follow you may be different than ours, but the struggle is the same, and the struggle is real. Passion is a bit of an overused term lately. Anything that even remotely resembles a hobby is suddenly a passion. I like to use the term in its original meaning, something which truly lights you up and makes your eyes sparkle. A passion can make you forget time and you feel like you could do it all day. The wonderful thing about true passions is that they make us happy. Teachings on manifestation sometimes fail to dig deep enough into the subconscious roots of our current patterns of creation. If we don't effectively unearth the hidden beliefs, habits, and behavior patterns that may be blocking our ability to co-create, including the cultural programming we've absorbed from the world around us, we'll constantly be working against ourselves. We all incur both emotional and physical scars during our lifetimes, formed as a result of living in an imperfect world. These experiences leave small lacerations around our hearts, burdens we carry with us as we travel through life. As a result, we have a choice to make. We can wallow in self-pity, allowing our scars to rule our very existence. The word boundary is trendier than ever. It's been popular for a while in the 12-step and Manhattan shrink circuit, but now it's falling out of mouths at afternoon coffees and cocktail parties. It's jargon at its best, the concept accessible to people who have never sat through a therapy session. The boundary conversation passes from person to person like a flu virus. The strain mutates the farther away it gets from patient zero. If your loved one has suffered from addiction, this sentiment might sound incredibly naive. If only you could just choose not to be addicted and, voila, you're fixed. Of course, it's not nearly that simple. The mind needs a lot of training before it can combat addiction effectively. The determination to beat your addiction is not enough on its own. On the other hand, without that determination, no amount of training will help an addict overcome addiction. If you've never experienced a shattering loss, you have no mental imprint for how to put the pieces back together. We aren't born with this skill, it has to be learned and developed. So it's understandable why we can become childlike in our grief. We feel overwhelmed, frightened, and unable to cope, much less be comforted. I'm a psychotherapist who's worked with many grievers. I know when faced with overwhelming grief, many people feel like they're alone in what they're experiencing. Have you ever tried to drive through a thick fog on a winding road? When we experience any kind of traumatic loss, it feels like we're in an alternate reality. Our bodies are in survival mode and the thinking part of our brain, the prefrontal cortex, shuts down. Our nervous system is hyper-aroused, we experience anxiety or panic attacks, our hearts race, and looping thoughts fill our minds as we try to integrate what has happened. It's difficult to speak, to see through the fog induced by psychological shock. There are basically two reasons why minimalism has become so popular these days. The first reason is that a lot of people feel trapped in the daily routine and society. Everyone works more and more to be able to buy more and more stuff that they can't use because they don't have the time. This means that a lot of people are overworked, underpaid and dissatisfied with their lives. Word processors are ubiquitous now, but holding a handwritten letter elicits different feelings than a typewritten one. Writing a handwritten letter is the next best thing to showing up at someone's door. A handwritten letter also holds the story of the letter's journey, perhaps across many miles. It holds the spirit and energy of the person who wrote it in a very tangible way. When each of my children were born, I wrote them a letter. I have absolutely no artistic talent, but I still find painting to be really relaxing. There's just something about spreading paint on a canvas that forces you to slow down. A similar feeling can probably come from drawing or sketching, but I think there's something about paint and its semi-permanence. Once it's there, it's there. You can cover it up later, but there's no erase or undo button. Just like bike riders love the long roads and the wind in their hair, financiers love tons of messy papers with confusing numbers. I love blogging. I love the sound my keyboard makes when I type faster than the thunder. I love the rush of ideas that sometimes I can't keep up with, and I even love those blocked moments when my brain puts a stop on itself, because what follows next is the best. Well, let me interest you in one of the reasons you might do that. You know that actually committing to doing that particular thing that you are procrastinating is going to create something amazing for you, something different. Well, isn't that wonderful? Limiting ourselves so efficiently. Scientifically speaking, play is as good for the brain as it is for the body. Animal parents in the wild keep playing and live long lives, and the truth remains, humans are social creatures. Imagination allows you to dream all the things you can do and be, and do it with willpower and creativity. Plus, why keep your inner child stuffed inside all the time? No wonder you're so grumpy with those achy aging bones. Experiencing art, whether through melody or oils paint, elicits in us a range of emotions. This speaks to the innate entanglement of art and the brain. Mirror neurons can make people feel like they are physically experiencing a painting. And listening to music can change their brain chemistry. Eating poorly can begin a downward spiral of negative moods that in turn decrease the motivation to eat well. Especially with depression and anxiety, the extra energy required to begin correcting an unhealthy habit just isn't possible while in the torpor of a mood swing or depressive episode. This damaging relationship doesn't have to take the form of bulimia or other conspicuous disorders. When you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed and miserable, many times this simple acknowledgement will transform your resistance into acceptance. But let's be clear, I am not talking about resignation where you're not going to do anything about your situation. By acknowledging your resistance to what is, you can shift from reaction to response. Sleep deprivation is detrimental to your physical health, leaving you more vulnerable to illness and prone to accidents. And it messes with your mental and emotional health. One of the more troubling side effects of sleep deprivation may be a triggering or worsening of postpartum depression or anxiety, as well as other mood disorders. The revelations of the mind-body connection continue to surface as new studies and research bring more detailed insights about the phenomenon. In fact, enormous amounts of data corroborate the bidirectional mind-body relationship, such as the connections between anxiety and physical pain, depression and heart disease, and depression and anxiety with gut inflammation. When our unconscious coping patterns make life difficult for us, it is really the exiled parts of ourselves that are trying to get our attention. They are making life difficult because they don't want to be exiled anymore. But, because rejecting those parts was so successful initially, our automatic response when they show up in our adult lives is to reject them again.